Hello Leo, Leo Moon, and Leo Rising people. This is your astrological forecast for the month of November 2016. And if you haven't noticed, that's my way of saying you should probably check out those horoscopes too. So, quick reminder for you folks out there. Remember, my weekly horoscopes now include astrology, and they are compartmentalized. The first half of the weekly horoscopes are always going to be on the astrology of that week, covering special day-to-day angles and things that might not necessarily be covered in big monthly horoscopes like this, and the big monthly stuff will be in the monthly stuff but not in the weekly, so we're getting a little bit of best of both worlds. And of course the cards will always come in the second half of the video, so there's something for everybody. And of course, if you want to get a personal reading from me that is, more specific to your unique situation, you can always get that at my website, integrativemysticism.com, where you can sign up for an appointment or order a downloadable video file. So, let us have a look and see what is going on with your November. Well, at the very beginning of the month, on the 9th, we've got Mars, the planet of passion, action, energy, and honor, moving into Aquarius, your partnership sector, your committed, one-on-one, tightest relationships area. And this is one of the big three when it comes to discussing love. I always say, like with the wisdom of astrology, love is not confined to just one area. Just like there is no one encompassing area of any relationship. And with Mars going into the partnership zone, we are talking about commitments, pacts, and promises that are going to be kept. We are talking about actually bringing a depth of personal responsibility and devotion to your closest one-on-one relationships, be they with a romantic partner, a spouse, or a best friend, or a business partner. Things that kind of go beyond the gratification of mere esteem and gesture. This is actually going to be a gorgeous angle and a gorgeous season from the 9th all the way through December, because it's going to bring a lot of opportunities to not only find the partner we're looking for, but also, really kind of push and custom make the ideal relationship that both of us are available and consciously committed to. This can actually be a great time for, again, showing, with those displays of loyalty, of devotion, and of course, make sure that you understand, when Mars, we always have that energy of the warrior's honor. Nothing is an idle promise when it comes to Mars. It does not actually go for the superficial, the flight, or the light. It definitely talks a little bit more about that pact that we always like to see being able to be held between people with that strong bond. We also have, on the 11th, Venus moving into Capricorn, into your 6th house of reputation and daily work. And this is kind of working over a part of your chart that has to do with your disposition, as well as how you feel about your appearance as well. This is a health area. This is a time for those of you who are considering making any kind of big adjustments to your physical appearance, whether it's as simple as getting a haircut or coloring your hair, to maybe even making some kind of more permanent change to your body. Whether or not it's like a tattoo or piercing depends on your taste as a person, but you know what, sometimes you tend to see a lot of that in people with Venus in the 6th house, really getting out there, really kind of expressing themselves through the way they actually carry their physical appearance and any adjustments they might make there. This is also great for the work zone, because with Venus, whenever it's in a money area, houses 6, 10, or 2, we tend to see, I guess you could say, easy opportunities. People actually showing you favor, people actually choosing you first, and a lot of this is going to have to do with more of your artistic and your creative abilities outside of, what you are known for right now. So it's kind of celebrating your uniqueness. Let's say you work at an office where you're most known for your ability to code, and then suddenly somebody finds out you're a musician, or you work in an office where you are best known for your ability to, kind of draft, and then somebody finds out that you're a writer. It's those kinds of fun little things that actually kind of get you the esteem that you're looking for advancing your career. It's all about focusing on not only versatility, but also noticing what aspects of yourself are most appealing, not only to you, but to the customers and clients that you work with. And we're going to have a bit of a party with that, pretty much all the way from, the 11th, when this begins, well into December, because these are long aspects. On the 12th, we have Mercury, the planet of communication and the quickness and urgency, and, also reparations, moving into your 5th house of love and romance, and this is a different kind of dynamic than the Mars in the 7th, because the 5th house is kind of about love in its infantile kind of stages. And when I say more infantile, I mean, kind of the sweet beginnings, the honeymoon phase, all of that. And with Mercury going into the 5th, this is a time where a lot of Leo people may actually find a way to kind of reinvent a honeymoon phase or revisit a honeymoon phase with an existing partner. This is also a time for those of you who are looking to maybe even reopen dialogues with your children. This is picking up a lot on that energy of Saturn in the 5th house as well, learning how to actually find out what is the perfect relationship for us. Because a lot of Leo people with this Saturn in the 5th house right now are kind of learning the difference between what is for them and what people or society has sort of told them they need, which is a big deal. Saturn's on your side this time when it's in your 5th house. We've all been programmed by, by cultural conditioning and Hallmark and Disney, but what is really the kind of relationship you need versus the relationship you've been sold on? And you and your partner, or you and a new partner, will definitely get to the bottom of it during these transits. On the 14th, we do have a full moon in Taurus, in your 10th house of career. And a lot of you Leo people may actually be confronted with some very good options that might make you kind of wonder if you are willing to make a leap of faith when it comes to your career this month, or even in the beginnings of next month. You may actually find an opportunity to move on to work in a new sector, work in a new department, or maybe even work for a new employer with the promise of, higher status. Okay, remember the 10th house rules upward mobility. And when we have a full moon in this area, it's talking about an ending in the interest of upward mobility. And some of you may actually decide that it is time to kind of file for that transfer or make that jump or that leap of faith, for that growth as well. This full moon can also indicate a time for a lot of you who have been feeling like it's maybe been a bit difficult to find new work, to put an end to that endless search. And a lot of this is going to be especially right between the 14th and the 28th of the month. On the 19th, we've got Neptune, the planet of fantasy, of illusions, of inspiration, the muse, but also the planet of, again, illusions, and possibly even some habits that we're not necessarily happy with. That planet's going direct. You gotta understand, you've gotta take the good and the bad with astrology. And the outer planets, especially Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are there to teach us that. And while Neptune was retrograde, it was really actually easy for us to kind of, I guess you could say, put our nose to the grind, especially because this is in our 8th house, our self-employment area, our personally unique expressions, but also when it comes to cultivating our sense of personhood through intimacy. It's been really easy with those, X-ray goggles on from the Neptune retrograde to be able to kind of see what is missing in our lives, and what we need to alter, what we need to attract, what we need to reconstruct or deconstruct. But with Neptune going direct, we're also having an opportunity to indulge in a bit of fantasy in this area. And the 8th house, again, kind of rules a lot. It does rule self-employment, it does rule our intimate life, our sensuality, our sexuality. But the thing you've got to pay attention to is we've got to understand where fantasy might not become long-term. Fantasy itself is a dream, and we can't live in a dream world, but we may be able to experiment with a dream in order to make it into a reality. But knowing the difference between what is truth and what is fantasy in this area is going to be a huge theme, especially from now all the way through June of 2017 when Neptune goes retrograde again and we have another chance to kind of see things with the X-ray goggles. And, sometimes fantasy is what we put there. And that's one of the most important things to understand, where we might accidentally be not allowing ourselves to see the realities that we need to tweak because we have an opportunity to indulge the fantasy instead. So again, it's all about understanding balance and moderation, self-discipline. On the 21st of the month, we've got more activity in that 5th house, and this is actually due in part to the fact that we've got the Sun moving into Sagittarius, and then a week later, we've got a new moon in Sagittarius as well. And the Sun is talking about getting more out of your artistic connections and getting more out of your creative relationships, and possibly even just maybe bonding with your partner or a romantic interest through more creative activities. Do we have enough artistic or creative stimulation in our romantic life? Are we able to sort of maybe both adventure into uncharted territory or into territory that kind of, challenges us to think outside the box a little bit more, or have we gotten a bit too much into, let's just say, a bit of a routine? As comfortable as it is, it might be fun to spice things up a little bit. And this new moon is also the aspect I think a lot of you single Leos would want to see, because it does talk about a new love partner coming out of this kind of area. Again, out of something a bit more on the creative, not necessarily strictly with the interest of coming together and getting together in love. And that's one of the things I like about this house in astrology, because it kind of talks about, whenever people talk about things like the karmic relationships or the soulmate thing or whatever, you've got to understand, nobody comes into our life just to get together and partner up and be in love and get married. There's always a creative purpose in mind, and as soon as we start actually walking our own path with that, we are more likely to find those types of folks. So I hope that you found this helpful. Leo, if you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. And of course, if you would like to get a session with myself, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com.